Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. I'm Ethan, and I'm the Dungeon Master for this 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons show! And yes, I will do that every time.
Yes.
I don't have any announcements in front of me, but I think the gist of it is we are back after a long hiatus, a couple months, doing an epilogue campaign for the first campaign that we ran, which featured these same 4 players and characters that you see before you. And they had a lot of loose ends to tie up. One of them, a very big one, involving the 9 hells, so we're going to explore all of that. And
Wait, all of them?
All 9 of them.
Okay. I'm down.
I mean,
Here
at
we
least
go.
6 of them.
At
We'll
least
see.
6 of them. We'll see.
At least 6. Oh, gosh.
Six.
So yeah, I don't have any announcements, and I don't have a recap, so I figured that you guys should just give the recap. Tell me a little bit about where these adventurers came from, what happened to them, and then we'll get into what is going to happen to them.
Okay. Should we start with introductions?
Oh yeah,
Normal.
of course.
Should we go in the order of introduction for the characters in the campaign this time?
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah,
That's
that
fine.
sounds
Yeah,
that
sure.
sounds good.
Because then we can talk about our character's background and then how they tie in. Okay, so hi, I'm Kay. My character's name is Harmony. She is a tiefling wild magic sorcerer. The campaign started, she's been around since day 1 of the campaign. She woke up in a jail cell in the factory? Secret dungeon?
Like a laboratory?
Yeah.
Secret lab
Laboratory, yeah.
of a gnome
Potix.
named Potix, who was
I think it's under a church or something.
Doing
It was.
experiments.
That's a good memory.
doing
Yeah.
experiments with robots,
Yes.
which is how I
With,
met
and
her.
I'm Zach, and I play Zant, who is formerly known as Hunter, who is now a human fighter ranger, but was a Warforged fighter ranger. So as Kay was saying, the party found my character unconscious in the middle of a test, and they flushed this tube that put consciousness in my character, and I retained some of my memories and stuff, but not
Sounds
all
so
of them.
gross that you flushed it too.
Yeah, he used the verb flush when
Did I?
yes.
Well,
When we had the swirly, liquid go into my character.
Flushed it into your brain.
It flushed, yeah. So out with the old, in with the new, and then that sort of began my quest to find, my body, my past, and we traveled all around, making friends and frenemies along the way, and
Sounds legit.
one of the frenemies that we found, or friends, was...
Hi, I am Nick. I play Sir Thaddeus Hammerlock of the Black Eagles.
No. Pick a side.
that was great.
No!
That was perfect. Oh, so good.
Actually of House Hammerlock. And I met up with these when I was investigating the curse on Redwater, a kind of one of the smaller towns in the country of Freyden. I started traveling with them, and together we went back to my hometown eventually, where there was a whole to-do, and we found out several surprising things. One was that there were a whole mess of Warforged beneath the castle, and the other one was that a former friend of theirs named Dawn turned out to be the princess of Freyden.
Yeah.
So both of those things played a pretty heavy role in the adventures to come. And then also during our adventures in Ferendale, which is the capital of Freyden, we met.
We hired.
We hired.
We
did.
hired.
and she never left.
Yeah. We're still paying her?
I think so.
I think there was
How much?
starting.
What's our tab up to, Mara?
I know, right?
Oh,
You guys
geez.
owe her a bunch.
I know.
A lot. This much. Anyways.
So I'm Melissa, and I play Mara Stormwind, who is a human rogue swashbuckler.
Pirate.
Pirate.
And I met them because I had been raised on a ship with my grandfather after my parents died when I was a small child. There was some kind of sickness on the ship, and my grandfather put me to port. said make your own way, which by that time I could, rough and tumble girl that I was. But I was a member of the Undercity Sisterhood.
Say that 4 times fast.
Undercity City.
And my mentor,
Undercity
Actually doing it.
my mentor Alyssa hooked me up with this group, and then we've been on adventures ever since.
Yeah, so after the entire group met up, some things happened, and a recurring enemy of theirs, who ended up being the one responsible for transforming Xant into the Warforged Hunter, known as the Eyes of the World, was revealed as having a plot within the capital city. And with their Warforged army, they rose up and took control of the city under the leadership of a wizard named Orin. Some investigation was done, and it was discovered that Orin had gone to the Elderhaven Reaches, which was Hunter's former home, and created this organization known as the Eyes of the World. And using this group of mages under his control, sort of taken over that region, created all of these Warforged, and then plotted to take over other areas of the world, apparently. And so the party, through a series of adventures, headed eastward, eventually landing in the Elderhaven Reaches. At some point in the journey, it was revealed that Orin was under the influence or control of a great and powerful spirit named Orochi, this 8-headed serpent. And so they traveled around the Elderhaven Reaches, gathering power to help them defeat Orochi in her den. And they banded together, and at the very end of the adventure, they did it, and they released Orin from her control. And then they sort of, their task complete, went about their various ways and tasks. And since that time, 5 years has passed, and each of the characters has done a great number of things, and I think it's time that we just pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let me try and remember how music works. Whoa, that's way too loud.
That might be. Well, I guess, do we test music?
It'll be okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's coming. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Yeah.
I have it balanced in here
Yep.
so that.
Sorry, it was.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Still getting the rust off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I already got mine.
Color. Or discolored.
Actually, you know what? I am going to unplug the music for you guys and just have it play from my desktop because I don't want it going into that microphone.
Yeah, good idea.
Good
Probably.
call. Okay,
But this should be fine.
10. Did you give me 2 more charges for my amulet? So
Yes.
12 now?
Mm-hmm. So, it is the evening of the 35th of Swords, which is to say that it is the 35th day of the 9th and penultimate month of the year, and the frigid winter winds have been blowing down from the mountains onto the town of Redwater, forcing its inhabitants to don their warm winter cloaks lined with furs each time they leave their warm hearths and step outside. A light snowfall has just begun to fall as we begin this new chapter of our story with Harmony. Harmony, you've been living in the town of Redwater, sort of taking the easy life for a little while, just spending time with your good friend Eli.
Good friend.
Eli. Tell me a little bit about the accommodations that Harmony would have settled into over the time of 5 years. Eli could pretty much set you up with anything. He could get you an apartment in the town. He could get you quarters within his temple. It's really whatever Harmony would feel comfortable with.
I think she'd probably want to stay at the tavern there.
Mm-hmm.
With
the one that was run by Hilda and what was his name?
What was his name?
Oh.
She's always yelling at him.
Yeah. Hang on.
Starts with a B, doesn't it?
I'm not sure.
I
If
wanted to say Henry, but maybe it
It's
was
not Henry.
No, Henry was Nasria's ex.
It was.
Yeah.
Or the R. Well,
It'll come back to me. Hold on.
Anyway, I feel like I'd probably have a room.
Rick.
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 Yeah.
Almost a B.
well, I'm like,
Rick. Yeah. What was the name of that tavern?
I just had the note open. The Riverbed Landing.
That's where I'm probably staying because I'm comfortable there and I can sneak booze anytime I want to, and pay for it surreptitiously while I'm invisible, and get up to shenanigans.
So the routine yellings of
Rick, get out here! We have guests.
have become a thing that you sort of gloss over in your mind whenever it occurs, and you just kind of it
I'd like to
washes
think
over
that
you.
I'd like to think that
Hold on.
Harmony spends a lot of time after hours with Rick,
Oh yeah.
just like giving him someone to talk to, being his friend, because I feel kind of sorry for him.
Throughout your time here, you would actually find that he's quite happy. He doesn't mind Hilda's nagging at all, and in fact, he finds that it gives his life a sense of order that he very much has come to appreciate.
Very strong man.
On one such night, with this snow falling outside, a lot of people have come into the tavern, but it's getting late, and most of the patrons of the tavern have left. And it's getting to the point where Rick needs to go back into the kitchens to finish up his work, and so to like wash dishes and things like that. And so he bids you goodnight and heads back into the kitchen and sort of leaves you, the last person in the tavern, to yourself.
Which is a common thing, I would imagine.
And you just sort of hear this voice by your shoulder that says, "Well, boss, another good day in the bucket. What say we hit the hay now?" And it's the voice of Moloch, your friendly imp, who joined you on your adventure all those years ago.
Because my wild magic summoned him. That's an important point. Yeah, maybe just a little bit longer.
Well, all right. I guess everyone's gone now. I can be visible again, right?
Of course.
And there's a poof, a little flash of sulfurous smoke, and the imp appears. Since our last time seeing him in this campaign, he has grown a little bit fatter. He doesn't really notice it. Perhaps Harmony doesn't really notice it because it's been a gradual thing. But there is a little bit of plump to his red belly. His wings, his leathery wings, look a little bit smaller in comparison to his already tiny body. And he just kind of is laying on the table, looking up at the roof of the ceiling, and then he like plucks a little bit of like a leftover turkey leg from the plates that haven't yet been cleared yet, and just begins to gnaw on it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, this suits me just fine. I could do with a little bit more snacking before bed.
Is it just me, or do you get like super hungry in the cold?
No, that's not just you. This is the reason I never spent much time in Cania or Stygia, any of those icy layers. It's just, awful.
Yeah, I can't.
They say
even
that the
imagine.
fires of hell are the worst, but no, it's really the ice of hell
Ugh.
that's the worst.
I can't even imagine. I hope I never have to go there.
Yeah,
That was good.
Wow.
he kind of sits up a little bit at that. He uses his wings to prop up his slightly heavier body. And he fixes his yellow eyes on you and says, "Well, look, I mean, you remember our deal, right? Because Malagard, you know Mother Midnight,
Yeah,
she's gonna be on the 6th layer."
yeah, but I mean, you were talking about like taking a riverboat or something, and we can like
Right,
just
but-
skip all that cold stuff,
Well,
right?
Stygia is the 5th one. It's the one right above the 6th. So we're gonna have to pass through it. So,
I
mean,
have
be
to get
prepared.
a really thick coat.
yeah, I mean, I'd recommend it. I mean, we devils, we're insulated to the cold, so it's fine. It's not a problem for us, but for the rest of you, it's gonna be a real big issue.
Maybe I should ask Seal about that.
And at that point, there's a ringing of the bell that is above the tavern's door. Just a soft little ringing as the door flies open and snow blows in. And Moloch instantly, with another proof of sulfur smoke, goes invisible. He's well practiced to hiding himself in this town. And a figure, cloaked in a dark black cloak, strides across the threshold of the tavern, slowly lowering the hood as they survey the room. And you see a familiar face. You see the... Oh no, I'm in the wrong note now.
The suspense.
You see the crimson skin, golden eyes, curled ram's horns, and long black hair kept in a tight braid that runs all the way, like quite a ways down the back of your mother, Valerie.
Oh shit.
And she surveys the tavern, which you are the only one in right now, sees you across the room, strides straight towards you, and says, Yuxori, you have some explaining to do.
Mom!
And slams down on the table with incredible force a dirty, bedraggled, torn, and ripped stuffed unicorn, and slams it right down in front of you.
Do I recognize this unicorn?
You would. Let me just change the music real quick.
Oh my god.
To unicorn slamming music.
Charlie!
Yes.
What happened?
You recognize it, but why don't you just go ahead and make me a intelligence check to see if you can pinpoint where you remember it from.
This is mine,
Oh
sorry.
my god, what am I supposed which one am I supposed to do? I have this so much pressure. Alright, I'll do the new one. This is just straight intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Ah, not bad, 19.
Oh, that's way more than you needed. You remember seeing this unicorn a couple times. The first time you would have seen it, it would have been in the hands of Alan the orphan, who you met back at First Light Orphanage in Ravenmore. Alan was an orphan who you helped. You actually rescued him, and then attempted to rescue his sister, Ronan, from a fate that they found themselves in. But his sister, Ronan, ended up being taken by the night hag, Mother Midnight.
That's right.
And Alan held onto this stuffed unicorn dearly because it belonged to his sister,
I remember.
Ronan.
There was something freaky about the stuffed unicorn, right?
That's the second time you remember this unicorn from. For a while after you left the hag's hut, there was a short time when this unicorn kept appearing next to Tal.
God, I remember this. Throwing pillows. For some reason. Oh my god, that was so long ago.
That was really long ago. I
Holy
forgot that.
shit.
And she...
I jump up from the table.
Yeah,
She puts
as
it
you
down.
jump up,
Like,
she's
terrified.
like, pulls out a chair and sits down, like legs wide, and arms crossed, and eyebrow raised, looking at you, and says, "I'm waiting for my explanation."
Where did you... How did you... I mean... Oh my gosh. I sit back down.
And she sort of then adjusts her posture and leans forward and looks you in the eyes, like trying to catch your gaze. And it's that same intense gaze you remember from when
I
you were a
like
child.
can't keep my contact. I'm just like...
You need to explain, child.
Look, I met a hag.
And she, like, almost no reaction, just a slight eyebrow raise.
Okay. Well, and I'll go into the whole story about the orphans and the whole transformation of Ronan and everything. But it's very like vague because it was 5 years ago, and I'm trying not to get in trouble, so I'm leaving out as many details as possible.
Does Harmony's mother have a name?
She does. Her
Valiance.
name is Valiance.
Yep, Valiance.
Though that's not what Harmony would call her.
I would just call her mother.
Yeah, you would call her mother,
You
or
can
what
call her
I have it here too.
is her other name?
Not Karia.
Right, not Karia.
Not Karia.
When you finished...
Not Karia. Sorry.
Yeah, Natkari.
Karia.
When you finished telling your story to her, she takes a second to think, and then, continuing the disapproving look,
It wasn't
says,
my fault.
"Well, this thing has been following me around for, I don't know, the past year, and I can't get rid of it.
I'm sorry, that's really funny.
I've tried literally everything I can to get rid of it. I've thrown spell after spell after spell at it. I dropped it in a volcano. and it keeps coming back. And I didn't know what to make of it until just the other day, just a week or so ago. I threw a fireball at it, just out of frustration. And when I went to inspect its ashes, of course it was still there, but I heard it say something in just a little voice, a tiny voice, one word: harmony.
I don't know why it was following you. If it wanted me, that's weird.
Well, that's what I'm here to find out. And it seems as if you've gotten yourself into something you really shouldn't have. And you've embroiled me in it, and...
It's not like I did it on purpose, okay? Like, these things just find me.
It doesn't matter if you did it on purpose or not. Now we have to deal with it.
I know.
You've roped me in. I didn't want to have to deal with anything. Not after you left.
I didn't leave. I just, got lost.
Yeah, I got lost for 5 years.
Sorry. Look, I was gonna go back, but then I heard that Tenacity, kind of pulled a coup, and
Yeah, her and her mother.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's not your fault.
I mean,
It is your fault, because when you didn't come back, my wild magic started to get worse. You know how it gets worse when you're anxious?
Yeah.
And then people started to wonder, does it really make sense to have someone like us in control of the tribe?
Yeah.
And then I guess you know the rest.
I mean, just bits and pieces. Whatever Radiance was able to tell me. Did Radiance ever make it back? Well, I guess you wouldn't know, would you?
No, I left pretty shortly after you, I guess.
You
So
know,
what are we
I
going
always
to-
liked Tenacity. I had thought that she was awesome, but I guess she kind of hated me, huh?
I don't know if she hated you. I think she just believed her mother a little bit when her mother said that our wild magic was not the right fit for leadership in our tribe.
I kind of left her in a bind too, so I get it. Look,
Yeah.
This thing is tied to a really bad hag, and I've been using sage just like you taught me, and I've been okay.
Oh, that won't protect you from this thing. Trust me. I tried the sage thing. I tried all of our tribe's customs. Nothing keeps this thing away.
Not to interrupt on the scene,
Mm-hmm.
it just occurred to me to wonder what Valiance thinks of her daughter being like a foot shorter than she remembers.
No,
She doesn't
3
seem,
feet
she doesn't seem
shorter?
phased by that, actually.
2 feet shorter.
A fellow wild. Is she taller?
She's also a wild magic
Yeah,
sorcerer.
Valiance herself is actually quite tall. She's probably 5'10"-ish.
Wow.
So I'm like,
She is
Very,
quite,
very
she's
short.
actually quite a striking figure.
I see.
it's funny that you show up now because I was just talking to a friend of mine about maybe how we should probably get around to, like, you know, closing the book on the whole Mother by Night thing.
Well, I'd be in favor of that. Let's do it.
But it would mean a trip to the Nine Hells.
If it means getting rid of this thing, we have to do it.
Has it, I mean, it just shows up and just talks to you, or?
Come with me. And
Okay.
she grabs the unicorn off the table. She strides out of the tavern and doesn't even look back to see if you're
I'm
coming
like
with her.
at her heels,
Yeah,
like
okay.
very obediently, like yes,
Good.
mom. Yes, mother.
She strides through the town, ignoring like glances from people who are like, "Wait, there's another teeth," you know, and strides straight out of town. Like, yep.
I forget. Can I speak to Moloch mentally, or did it have to be spoke like out
I think
loud?
it has to be spoken.
Okay.
She strides straight out of town and into the snowy
Can
fields.
you just message him?
I can just message him. I message Moloch. It's
Okay.
been so long. I forgot I thanked you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I forgot I had that spell.
All right.
Yeah, as we leave, but message also requires it to be spoken though. But as
Subtle spell.
as we leave, I mumble under my breath and message Moloch, and I'm like, I hope you're following me. I hope you're coming with me for this.
Yeah, and you hear back in your head, "Right with you, boss."
It has a verbal component, but only you and the target can hear what you say.
Okay.
She strides right out of town into the snowy fields outside, sets the unicorn down in the snowy field, strides back maybe about 100 feet, and begins to cast a spell. And when her spell completes, assuming you don't counterspell it,
No.
That would be hilarious.
No, I don't.
a bead of fire forms at her fingertips, and she throws it at the thing, and you can feel the heat of the fireball from here. This is a upscaled level fireball. It is a very high level fireball. It impacts with the unicorn and just explodes outward, melting all the snow around, like in the radius, and then maybe for like another 10 feet outside of that, and leaving an absolute crater, like impact crater in the ground.
Wow. Nice shot.
But sitting in the middle of that impact crater, unharmed, is this tattered unicorn.
Oh god.
And now we're going to switch over to the rest of you.
Oh god.
Music. God, I'm not used to managing music anymore.
How long did she say it had been following her around?
A year.
A year.
Thaddeus, you have spent the past 5 years working on improving, actually building the initial foundations of relationships with the Elderhaven Reaches, between them and the country of Freydin. And as such, you've had to make frequent trips to the Elderhaven Reaches. And so we find Thaddeus at the close of one of those such trips, visiting the town that Hunter established on the island of Kanya.
Zant.
Huh?
It's Zant.
Sand.
Oh, sorry, Zant. This is going to take me a while.
I know, me
Yeah.
too.
Hunter took quite a while. You are about to finish up your mission to the town of Guardian's Rise, which was established by Zant on the island of Kanya. You've made arrangements with Mara to come pick you up in the Drowning Kiss, and you're awakened on sort of a bright,
The door's
snowy
over that way.
morning, just by sort of like the chirping of birds and things like that. It's very peaceful, but you have to shake sort of a little bit of sleepiness from your eyes because you're awoken from a dream that you've been having. Not like every night, but just frequently for the past, month or so. It's just this dream where you see the moon, and this familiar, you once had a vision of all this darkness pouring out from the moon, and received an ominous prophecy about something like the eye in the moon. So you keep having this dream where this darkness is pouring out from the full moon, the surface of the full moon. And then a silvery sword, this large silvery sword, this beautiful, magnificent blade, appears and pierces up into that hole from which the darkness is spreading. And then there is just a burst of darkness, and that's sort of where the dream ends. It's just this very short dream that keeps recurring over and over again. And you're awoken from that by the sound of birds, and you're just sort of rubbing the sleep out of your eyes as I think Zant would probably come to greet you.
Okay. So I would come to greet you. So he's at the Drowning Kiss right now?
No, he's just woken up in his accommodations in the
Okay.
town.
So I would like knock on the door
Oh, what time is it?
and then be like, Thaddeus, come on.
Oh, one moment. And I, get my stuff on and I go to greet Zant.
Good morning. Well, afternoon, I guess.
Oh,
We slept in a little bit today.
that's
That's
not
okay.
good. I haven't said my prayers yet.
Oh, do you want me to leave you for a few minutes?
No, we can talk.
Okay. And so,
Nothing's
was
going
here-
to happen in the next 5 minutes, is it?
no,
Okay.
I don't think so. So he was on his way out. Is that
Yeah, so it was his last night in town, basically, and then this morning Mara's coming to pick him up,
yeah?
and you would probably be coming to pick him up and see him off to the docks where
Right.
Mara is going to take him.
You look tired.
Bad dreams, weird dreams. You know how it is.
Would you have told me about it beforehand, or
I think so.
okay, same one as the last time?
Yeah. Hasn't stopped happening. I haven't yet figured out what it means. It's not. It's not the Moonblade that I see, right?
No, it's not, like, initially maybe in the first time you saw it, when you wake up and the memory is hazy, you might have thought it was the Moonblade, but then after you've seen it more and more times, you realize, no, it's a different sword, but there's something special about it. It has this radiant quality. It does almost shine as if with moonlight, but it's not your Moonblade that you carried with you on your entire adventure.
I really need to see a specialist about this.
Have you thought about maybe looking back at that Helia's library or any other archives to find this sword?
It's not a bad place to start.
Certainly, if it's something extravagant, it probably has a history or at least a name or something that we can go by.
I'm not much of an artist, but I can at least try and describe it to someone.
Yeah. I'll do anything you need if I can help out as well.
Well, I appreciate that. Have you come to see me off?
Yes.
Alright, well, leave me a few minutes and I'll be on my way.
Sure thing.
Thaddeus says his prayers and then goes out with Zach to the docks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hike because your village, or your village was up in the mountains, but the town itself has like spilled down off the mountains and taken up some of the plains around that area. But you do still have to do a little bit of a hike down to the coast, which is where, or I suppose maybe a river inlet, which is where the Drowning Kiss would be waiting. And you see the Drowning Kiss docked with Mara, sort of. Where would you be, standing up in the crow's nest? Like with the eyeglass?
Probably waiting at the bow of the ship, going my fingers, anxious to get going.
And the Drowning Kiss as well looks a little bit different since the last time. You guys would have seen these upgrades, but Mara, with all of her money from scamming nobles over the past 5 years, has made two big changes to the Drowning Kiss. One is with Harmony's help, she managed to enchant a banner, sort of the flag, the colors that her ship waves. And so when anyone looks at this banner, they see the flag of someone that is friendly to them, like an ally.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So when Thaddeus looks at it, perhaps he sees the flag of Freydin, and when Zan looks at it, maybe the same, or maybe
Elderhaven Reaches or
yeah,
something.
some Elderhaven Reaches naval group.
Harmony just sees a smiley face.
Yeah. The other major upgrade is that the rowing stations with all the oars have been replaced with these like clockwork machines that will row the oars by themselves, such that the ship only needs one person working it to propel itself through the water.
Sweet.
So you don't have a crew, it's just
And
you.
that's a ship.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
All right.
But the two of you would have seen these upgrades
Yeah.
before. I'm just describing them for our viewers who haven't.
And
the
for
players.
the
who have
players,
it.
yeah. Alright,
Oh, there she is in her super ship. Let's make our way down, I guess. I get my scope out and I'm like, yeah, she already looks impatient.
yeah. Well, it's been good seeing you again, and I hope it's not too long before we pass across again.
Yeah.
And it's at that moment, as you're sort of clasping hands to say farewell, that Thaddeus, you feel a familiar ping in the back of your head, as if someone from a great distance is attempting to contact you via magic. And you hear this female voice, which you don't really recognize, come into your head, but the person quickly identifies himself, and she says, "Greetings. I am a priestess of Arathis, and it is my solemn duty to inform you that your father has passed away.
Oh shit.
Please return
okay.
home immediately."
Oh shit.
Wow.
Mara! Are we ready to go?
I've been ready.
Alright, Thaddeus hurries up to see the ship. Zant, I'll see you later. I need to get back to Ferndale at once. My father has passed.
Oh, I'm so... Wow, that... Just now?
I just received a message.
Do you want me to come with you? Is everything...
It might be nice to have a friend there.
Okay, so, unless you had something planned... Okay, so I'll hop on the... So, give me 1 minute, and then I'll run back and I guess I need to grab some things too, because I'm setting off on a voyage. So
You
I'll
need to tell some people that you're going.
and tell people that I'm going to. Hold on, Mara. Sorry to keep you waiting. And I'll run and get my things and let people know, and then I'll hurry back.
How inconvenient it is to travel without a sorcerer who
And
teleports.
I can respond to that message, right?
Bag of holding.
I think I say understood. Convey my sorrow to mother. I'm on my way soonest.
Okay. And you don't get anything back after that, but you do feel the familiar sensation as your message is carried across the water towards its target. Hunter, or Zant?
Yes.
Sorry.
Present.
I think that probably May, your sister,
Yes.
has stepped up and helped you with running this community in some capacity. So when you go and tell her that you need to leave, because you've had to leave for extended periods of time before, she's prepared and perfectly capable of
Yeah.
handling the village's affairs when you're out.
Okay.
And she just sort of wishes you safe travels, good luck, and sees you off with the traditional sort of bow, and then quickly turns to taking on your duties. So.
Okay. Perfect. So then off we go.
So the group of you board the Drowning Kiss, and the clockwork oars grind to life and begin to pull the Drowning Kiss out of the river inlet and towards open water. Let's cut back to Harmony.
All right.
The unicorn is still just sitting in the crater there, and your mother turns to you and just with an eyebrow raise says, "See what I mean?"
For the record, I did believe you. You didn't have to prove it to me.
There's a little bit of impact that comes from seeing it with your own eyes, though.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm gonna walk up to it, see if it has anything to say.
As you approach it,
I like tap it with my mage hand. Poke,
you
poke.
walk forward. The darkness feels like it gathers around you as you get close, and it just feels there's a slight like constricting feeling on you. And you tap it with what, your staff?
With mage hand.
Mage hand. The mage hand sort of pushes it over. A little bit of stuffing falls out, and for a moment you think that you hear nothing, and then perhaps it's the wind that is blowing the flurries of snow around you. You just think that maybe you hear, "Where are
Oh shit.
you?" Which, since that probably wasn't picked up on the microphone, I whispered, "Where are you?" ominously.
Alright, I'm gonna back away until it seems brighter out here again. And then send a message to Moloch. Say, did you catch that?
Catch what, boss? I mean, that was one hell of a fireball, but
You didn't hear anything?
nah.
Do you know what's going on here?
There's a slight pause as he's clearly thinking, but you can kind of feel him shaking his head on your shoulder. Nah, I'm sorry, boss. Like, this is new. This is weird.
Yeah, weird, definitely weird.
Well, what do you say? What do we do?
I mean, I don't want to take it.
I mean, do you think we have a choice?
We could try to put it in, like, a bag of holding and see if that gets rid of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, your friend had one of those, right?
Uh-huh.
The metal guy? No, he's not metal anymore.
No, he's not metal anymore. But I think he still wears
Lucky
armor.
guy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I'll turn around and look at my mother.
Mm-hmm. And she's just kind of standing there, arms crossed. It's cold, like it's really cold, but she's barefoot like you normally are, and she wears the same sort of like light outfit that you do, and she doesn't seem bothered by the cold at all. The cold never bothered her anyway.
Mother,
Yuxori?
I have an idea, but it would mean traveling. Did you want to maybe come with, or do you want to just peace out? And
Oh, I'm coming with you.
okay.
If you're going to deal with this thing, which has been following me for a year, I'm coming with you.
Great. And it sounds like you get to meet my friends.
Wonderful.
Oh,
And she
dear.
does like this, obviously like fake smile that is just ominous.
I'm gonna cast Mage Hand again and have Mage Hand pick up the unicorn and
Mhm.
just have it carry the unicorn along.
Like this.
Yeah, just like this.
Holding something gross.
Yeah.
Oh,
Before we go, I need to get my things from the town and maybe tell people that I'm leaving so they don't worry. Do you mind just giving me a minute?
Sure, I'll wait right here.
Okay, and I run away.
Mage Hand.
I leave the Mage Hand there and eventually disappears and the unicorn just flops to the ground next to her.
Yeah, and
mean you
I mean
let
you
it
don't
go?
see this, but she just kind of like looks at it and lets out a sigh.
Does it make a squeaking noise when it hits the ground?
Squeak.
No squeaking noise. If it had a squeak box, it's long since gone.
Oh.
Destroyed in some fireball.
So-
Or wind thrown into a volcano.
I go to the inn first to get my stuff, because I assume like my staff and my bags and stuff are up in my room, and then I go to the temple to go see Eli.
He's probably asleep at this point.
I feel like I've been there enough. I know I'm comfortable enough. I just go straight to his room and bang on the door.
Yeah, you hear like a clattering sound as he clearly like falls out of his bed.
Bang, 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 bang.
When he comes to the door, and when the door swings open, you see that his chambers haven't really changed at all. They're still very plain, simple priest chambers, but he's wearing his night robe.
Face first into his chest.
Hi, Harmony, and he's kind of like rubbing his eyes. What's up? And to remind viewers what Eli looks like, he's got this blue skin, this light blue skin. Oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember what Eli looks like. What color were his eyes?
I don't remember.
I forget. We're making it up.
I have my head cannon, but I don't think that's accurate.
Tell me about your head cannon, because I don't remember. The only thing I remember is he has light blue skin.
Light blue skin and like dark blue / black hair, light blue eyes.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
And so you slam into his chest, and he's just kind of rubbing sleep out of his eyes, and he just says, "Is it, Harmony? I'm sure it could wait till tomorrow, right?"
I mean, kind of, but not really. Look, it's a really long story, but like my mom's here, and we have to kind of go on another quest, so I'm gonna have to leave. I just wanted to make sure that I told you I was going.
Right now? You can't stay till the morning?
I really wish I could.
Okay. And he kind of he wakes up a little bit, and he sort of shakes himself. Just give me a second. Let me put on some clothes, and I'll come see you off.
Oh, that's really not necessary.
No, look, I want to. It's okay.
Yeah, but it's my mom's here, and it's kind of awkward, and like I'm not really
His
ready
eyes
for
go
that.
wide. Your mom's here?
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to meet you.
I would love to introduce you.
Yes.
I kind of would not love that, actually.
Come on,
it's
Harmony.
the farthest thing away from
Harmony,
what
please. Can I make a persuasion check?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
What's the DC here?
We'll see.
It's not high.
All right, let me pull up Eli's sheet here.
That's awesome.
Can
I make a persuasion?
Can I make
Says
a
the
per-
DM.
I think I'm gonna start doing that. By the way, I
Okay.
don't know where the idea came to me, but I was just like,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Go for it.
For me to be able to say, can I make a persuasion? And you can say no,
Mhm.
or you can say yes and set a DC.
Right.
Also, I think when you guys are doing things that involve each other, so for example, Harmony wants to pilfer something from Thaddeus, I think it makes sense for Nick to say, yes you can, no you can't, and
Okay.
if you
Yeah.
can, here's the DC. So,
I like
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
good.
that.
so for those brief times, you guys become the DM.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Let's see. I need to find Eli's sheet. Here he is. Best boy. His
Sounds like a dog.
persuasion is +5. 21.
Yeah,
So you look into his light blue eyes.
His lovely doe eyes.
Yeah, he's still got a little bit of like sleep crust on his eye, but he's like looking at you with big eyes. He's like, please, can I please meet your mother? Look, we've lived together in this town for 5 years now, and
Okay, but just, she and I are really different, and curb your expectations.
that's fine. I mean, I don't know what to expect. You never talk about her, so.
For a good reason. I'll wait for you downstairs, and then just run off.
Closes the door, gets changed.
And while I'm down there, I'm going to use the Ruby of Sending
Uh-huh.
to send a message to Xanth.
Okay.
And I'm going to say,
So this would be your first evening out on the Drowning Kiss on your way back to Farendale.
and I'll say, hey, Hunter, Xanth, still not used to that. I need to visit you kind of urgently. Where are you right now?
Do I have to respond immediately, or can I ask the captain where we are?
You can ask the captain.
So I would approach Mara, and Mara, I just got a message from Harmony.
Oh,
Yeah.
how's she doing?
Well, it's limited, but she wants to know where we are.
Okay, so I tell him.
So
Yeah, I mean,
latitude
you're
this,
on a
longitude
certain
that.
point in the
I
sea.
mean, I also feel like the Drowning Kiss is a
Can-
location
So
that
I didn't.
works.
Yeah, I don't know about. I was assuming I guess in Xanth's perspective, he thinks teleport,
Yeah,
and that's why you're asking about it.
yeah.
So then, but I don't know the teleport spell, and I don't know
I
if
feel like
you
we
need
would have had enough time together
Okay.
that you would know that that's
So
how it works.
it works with just a moving location.
I'm not sure about
That's
that.
why I wanted to
You
know.
have teleported to the Drowning Kiss before.
But it wasn't.
But it
was like
moving at the
dock.
time.
I'm gonna say it works because I
It works?
want it to
Okay.
work. And
So-
I have no idea.
If we know if we're okay with it working that way, then I would just say the Drowning Kiss.
Okay.
So you said your message was, where are you right now? I need to see you. It's
Yeah, it's
somewhat
kind of
urgent.
urgent,
Kind of
yeah.
urgent. So let's see. Yeah, I would say we're on the Drowning Kiss, heading towards
Farendale.
Farendale. Yeah, we're all here. And then I would say Thaddeus, Mara, and myself are all here.
Great. I can't send a message back because it's
Yeah,
once a day.
and so I
kind of
would
thing,
send
but-
that back.
Yeah.
I say, okay, well, thanks, Mara. I'm guessing she'll be here soon.
Wow, it's exciting. Wonder what's up.
This
Yeah.
better not have to go anywhere. I sort of have some urgent business in the capital.
I'm sure Harmony will maybe understand. We'll figure it out.
You really think that Harmony is likely to understand anything I tell her?
Yeah, I was like, we'll figure it out. I don't know.
Maybe your relationship hasn't improved over 5 years when you've been apart.
I mean,
Maybe.
I feel like
Maybe
I
being
dropped
apart
in.
has improved it.
I feel like I would have dropped in every once in a while to visit.
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
so it's not like
Yeah.
you haven't seen me in
That's
5
true.
years.
Yeah.
Also, I had this strange impression that Xanth's sister would love Harmony, and so
Oh,
whenever she came to
May.
visit, so
Yeah.
May would just immediately
Every
latch
time I
on,
come and visit.
yeah, and just would be like, oh,
We could have bonded a lot in those first 2 weeks after we
yeah.
saved.
Harmony is everybody's sister's best friend.
Yep. I was
That's
gonna
good.
say,
Yeah,
that's
maybe
right?
that's where
Yeah.
it came from. But I had this impression when I was typing out all that stuff. I'm like, man, May probably just loves Harmony and Mara. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. But anyways, sorry.
So you get back out into the snowfield, and your mother is just standing there right where she was, sort of tapping her foot in the snow, with the unicorn in one hand. And Eli is kind of at your heels.
I'm
following you out.
very uncomfortable. I walk up with my tail kind of between my legs.
As you're leaving the town and Eli senses your uncomfortable energy, he kind of just pats you on the shoulder, and he has that warm feeling to his hands, despite the cold, because of the radiant energy that just is innate in him, and it just kind of warms you up a little bit. Look, I don't know why you think your mother is so bad, but
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
take your medicine.
Take your medicine. Alexa, stop.
Your anxiety medicine for your mother.
My anxiety medicine.
Wow, thanks, Alexa.
All right, sorry.
Yep.
Continue.
And the two of you spot Valiant out in the field, and when she sees you coming and you get a little bit closer, she gives you this disapproving look and says, "And who's this, Harmony?"
This is Eli. He's my friend.
Yeah, and Eli sort of takes that initiative to step forward and says, "Eli, pleased to meet you. Harmony saved me, well, literally, from death at one point."
Well,
And
I mean, you've saved me from death.
I think at this point it's pretty mutual. But when it started out, Harmony saved me from a very bad situation, and we've been good friends ever since. He kind of stutters a little bit over friends, and you can
I'm
see.
very much avoiding eye contact.
Yeah, Valiant like raises her eyebrow, but she takes Eli's hand, she shakes it, and says, "Charmed, I'm sure." And then she looks to Harmony and says, "Well, are we going?"
Yeah. Yeah. And I look at Eli. We have to. I mean, you don't want to come with and see everyone, do you? We're gonna go see Thaddeus, and I know how much you like Thaddeus.
Yeah, his eyes kind of brighten up. Before you started talking, his mouth was kind of like open, like he wanted to say more to your mother, but she cut him off so quickly.
Yeah.
I
mean, you don't have to come. I mean, you know, it's kind of awkward, but if you want to see Thaddeus, you're welcome. I mean, I can teleport like 9 people at a time, so.
He sees you floundering and just kind of like puts his hand up to like stop you and says, "Look, I would love to come with and see Thaddeus. It's been too long, but I sort of get the feeling this is a trip without a return journey anytime soon, and I have things I need to do here.
Yeah.
You know that I do."
Yeah. I can give him a message from you if you want.
Just tell him I hope things are going well for him and his family, and
Great.
Bullseye.
And that in whatever you guys are about to go do, I'm counting on him to keep you alive. That's all.
Okay. Hopefully I'll be back soon.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see you already. And he sort of pulls you into a big hug.
I hug him back, but I'm like very awkward about it because my mother is right there.
And then he sort of takes a step back. All right. See you when you get back. Don't go dying on me.
I'll try. You know, my track record's not that great lately, but anyway, bye, and I cast teleport.
All right. And just a quick thing. Are you planning on taking your mother with you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh my god. That would have been hilarious.
I am.
Just had to make sure. So there is
Best
a...
Me and Mom and Moloch.
Okay. There's a flash of multicolored light, and then that familiar squeezing and pulling sensation as you are rocketed across the world at incredible speed, and then the thud as your feet
Did I
land.
bring something from the Drowning Kiss so that I would be able to teleport back
I
to
think
it?
you did
I
at
feel
one
like I
point.
did.
Yeah.
No, you
Wasn't it
definitely
like
did.
A doorknob from a cupboard or something?
That was the Raven, or the Shadowfell.
No, but you did. We've
thing,
had this
but
conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have brought
You
something.
did.
Okay.
You did.
Yeah. Sorry.
It has to be taken from the desired location within the last 6 months.
Oh. So
Oh.
it wouldn't help.
I mean, you could
Unless
have been
go
keeping
every
it up.
6 months.
It's up to you if you've been keeping it up.
Yeah, maybe I would have visited every 6 months.
Okay.
Hello, it's me, exciting Mara. Of course
You
would.
always have jobs for me to do anyway.
So you pull out like a frying pan from the kitchen.
Yeah. No wild magic.
Well, if you have an associated object, then you arrive there without fail.
Yes.
So you feel that pulling, stretching sensation. All the colors, the rainbow colors, are whooshing past your face in a dizzying fashion, and then there's the thud as your feet land on the deck of the Drowning Kiss.
Oh, can I do the next part?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You hear a familiar sound from the raft as Mara's parrot. Have you named the parrot yet?
I mean, during the 5 years, did you name it?
Should name it like G's or something.
That's funny, I was gonna say George.
George. Okay.
All right. You hear the voice of George, the sort of blue and yellow parrot that follows Mara around, from the sort of mast of the ship, just say "ow" as there's a burst of color, and those of you who are on the deck see standing before you the diminutive form of Harmony, and a taller, more statuesque, imposing woman who looks very much like her, but with, instead of pink skin, very crimson skin, and instead of silver eyes, golden eyes, but the same exact curl to the ram's horns. And this woman instantly, as her feet touch the ground, just surveys the entire ship, getting away of the land really quickly, in sort of just an instant.
Oh, we made it. I mean, of course we made it.
And I'll be like, so that's what you meant. Like,
Chant!
hey.
Hey!
Nice
Everyone
to see you.
hug.
Yeah.
Funny story. Do you remember when we were back in right after we left Ravenmore the first time, and there was that unicorn stuffed animal that kept kind of randomly showing up.
Alan's?
Yeah, I think it was Ronan's, but yeah.
Yeah. And then I like look.
Yeah. My mage hand's holding it up.
That one?
Uh-huh.
Why'd you guys visit Ravenmore?
We didn't.
Why is it visiting
Madam?
you?
So Thaddeus, come along.
As this conversation is going on, Thaddeus has turned his attention to
I was going to introduce her, but
Valiance, who had gotten no introduction up to this point.
I was going to, but maybe I wasn't.
She takes your extended hand, gives it a very firm shake, and says, Valiance.
Pleased.
Anyway, this is my mom, my mother, mother, wild mother, no longer, ex-wild mother, Valiance.
Wild mother?
Wild mother.
Not the wild mother, wild magic mother. I'm getting my titles mixed up. Ex-wild magic mother, Valiance.
I'm still
I mean,
your wild magic mother, I suppose.
lowercase, yeah. It's my mom, guys. Long story short, evil unicorn haunting. We need to. Yeah.
What my daughter is failing to explain to the group of you is that this bedraggled stuffed animal has been following me around for a year, and I had no clue why until one day it spoke to me and said one word, Harmony. And then I knew who the source of my trouble was, and so here I am.
I didn't do it.
She gives you a very stern look and just sort of expects you to shrink.
I'll also
I
stride
do
it.
shrink. I'm shrink.
I'll stride up to Valiant and extend a hand as well and say, Zant, pleasure to meet you.
Valiance, likewise, I'm sure.
We haven't heard much about you, but
Well, Harmony, that was rather rude of you.
you're in good hands.
I'm sure we'll have time to get to know each other later. What was your name?
It's night, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'll explain who I am, and I'll ask if she's tired, if she'd like to follow me down to her room, and I'll make a really nice room for her.
Yeah, she takes you up on that. It seems that like she very much wants to get away from everyone for a time. So it doesn't take her long to take you up on that and follow you down to whatever chamber you're going to prepare for her.
Okay, and while I'm doing that, and she's distracted looking at the room, Pinky's gonna do the once over on her.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna steal from my mom.
I'll just see what else she has up her sleeve. It's all not steal. Pinky knows the difference.
I'm gonna be in so much trouble.
Would you roll a d20 for me and just add 2 to it?
This is the new one.
Okay.
I'm gonna break it in.
And I'm a new one?
Yeah.
you have to
Oh
use
yeah, no,
that
you can use
first.
this.
No, you have to
Oh,
use
okay,
that.
alright.
Only he gets.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah.
And we're
Add two.
doing a what?
He said
Okay, 16.
16? Okay. Pinky sort of climbs up the outside of her clothing and disappears into a pocket, and then after a moment climbs around the other side of the clothing and disappears into another pocket, and when and then sort of makes his way into the small backpack that she carries, and then climbs back out of it and returns to you. But Pinky knows not to report his findings until some time has passed, and so he waits for like the door to be closed, and then he says, in your mind, which you're very used to, this rat with its brain exposed and the psionic energy sort of like flashing on the top of the brain every now and again. He says to you in your mind, no food, no food, no food, no food.
No food.
And I know what that means.
Chinese, no food.
Okay. Good job, Pinky. Now give him a treat.
Food, 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 food. As he consumes whatever you give him.
And then so I think like right when Mara leaves and we kind of like
I need a drink. I like reach into my pack and take a bottle of alcohol that I took from the tavern and start drinking. Hi guys.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Spend some time.
6 months? Give or take?
May says hi.
Oh, I wish you were still there so I could have seen her. We're going back to Farendale?
Yes.
Yes. Can whatever you have wait? How urgent is this?
Well, I mean, you know, it's got to do with that hag. But I don't think. I mean, I did say it's urgent, but only because it's my mother and she scares me. But it's up to her, really.
We're returning to Farendale for my father's funeral. I need to be with my family right now, Harmony.
Oh, of course, of course. Really, I just wanted to borrow your bag of holding.
Why?
Did she leave the unicorn up here when she left?
It was in your mage hand, so yeah. Honestly, she probably wants a night away from you.
Yeah. Well, this thing keeps haunting my mother, I guess. Showing up. She tries to destroy it. She leaves it places it shows up. I was thinking maybe you'd throw it in a pocket dimension.
Well, we have two, and then I'll bring out the bag of holding and the quiver of Elana.
I'll just mage hand it over into the bag of holding.
Okay.
Drop it.
Drops in there.
Just want to see if it stays in there.
And you want to just leave it? Okay.
Yeah. So, if that works, we're good.
Yeah.
And we can stick around. Do you want? I mean, Eli says hi.
Oh. How is he?
He says you need to keep me alive.
I try.
He's good.
We all do.
Yeah.
Did he meet?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't really want to talk about that. Look, I'm sorry about your loss.
Thank you. We weren't close, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, but if I stick around, I can see Dawn. How's Dawn?
She's doing well.
Yeah, you would know that with her parents starting to get up there in age, she is spending a lot more time sort of tagging along and learning what royal duties look like, and sort of is more confined to the castle with the political machinations of running a country, which she hates,
Yeah.
obviously.
You did talk her out of marrying your brother, right?
Yes. And I think that the time will come when the two of us are engaged. But I don't know.
I'm so proud of you.
It's sort of an open secret within Farendale. I haven't really gotten to pop the question so much because my brother is a difficulty. He would take it very hardly, I think.
I can help with that.
How?
I have ways.
That kind of ways is why my brother was not able to marry Dawn, Harmony.
of other ways.
Okay. Well,
I think we need to take care of these ways first,
Yeah.
and point at the unicorn ways.
Well, if you don't mind, well,
So wait, let me get this straight. So if this thing stays in the bag, then
maybe you could just keep it in the bag and we don't have to worry about it and I'll go home. And Mom can go home and we can...
that's all we need to do. That's the urgent thing, is stuffing a unicorn in a bag.
The urgent thing is my mother.
you want it to be around other people.
No, well, I just want to get rid of it.
Your mother?
Yes, but... yes, but I was talking about the stuffed animal.
I see.
If I get rid of it, then she'll go away.
Okay.
And I'll get my freedom back.
How often does it appear?
I don't know.
Every time that she tries to destroy or leave
She
it behind?
didn't say, and I didn't think to ask. But we can talk to her about it tomorrow.
Well, it's just worth finding out how long the experiments take before we're sure.
Well, let's try right now, and then I'll call up to the bag of holding and say, stuffed unicorn.
Yeah, it comes to your hand.
Alright, and I'll put it back in. Yeah, well, it seems to be working.
When you called it up and held it in your hand, roll a perception check.
Okay. Fine.
It's, probably should stay in there.
It's cocked, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want it to
Well,
be
it
cocked.
I mean,
is, yeah.
no, it's
But I do have,
definitely...
I don't know, that's a 1, but
It's
I
a
do have
1.
passive perception.
Well, what is it total with your one?
Alright. It's, 9?
9? Yeah, nothing happens.
Okay.
Goes back in the bag.
You probably shouldn't do that very often. It kind of... I think that Mother Midnight is trying to talk through it to me.
Oh.
And trying to use it to maybe find me. So Mother bringing it to me was kind of probably the worst thing ever.
That is a problem.
So maybe if it just stays in the pocket dimension and we never call it out again, she'll never find me and it'll be fine.
Huh.
I mean, I know
Interesting.
it's not solving the problem, but it at least postpones it so we can go to a funeral.
It's worth a shot.
Okay.
Although, I don't know, maybe I can just, maybe we can just drop Mother off when we dock in Ferndale, and she can just go on her merry way, and I'll come to the capital with you. I haven't seen Dawn in a long time.
Astrid would like to see you, I'm sure.
Oh, I miss your sister.
Isn't your mother magical? Can't she leave whenever she wants to? Can't she
I didn't
teleport?
think about that.
How did she get to you? How
She
did
just walked in through the front door.
How did she know where you were?
I don't know.
Mother has her ways.
I mean, she is a very powerful wild magic sorceress, like myself. I think I'm more powerful than she is, but maybe not. No, I'm probably not at all.
You could roll an Arcana check to see what spell she cast, slot level she cast.
I do want to know that. I was going to ask. Retroactive Arcana check. That's an 18.
She cast that at a 9th level.
Okay. So I'm at
A
least
9th level?
as powerful
That's
as
kind of overkill, but sure.
Yeah, that's a crazy big fireball.
Wow.
I can cast my level spells too.
They left a crater, so.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my god.
You can see the people coming out of the town going,
What's that? Nuclear
Snow's
storm.
really loud.
I know.
Anyway, yeah. Maybe we should,
Are you tired? It is late.
yeah.
Alright.
So the group of you kind of part ways. Someone has to keep the ship going through the night. It still does require one person to steer. It doesn't have to be Mara the entire night. You can sort of take that in shifts. Harmony, when you get back to the quarters you traditionally take, you open up the door and your mother is sitting on your bed.
Oh no.
So your friends seem interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great.
I like Thaddeus.
I thought you might.
The other,
I'll go and sit down next to her.
Xant seems okay as well.
Zant, I've known Zant the longest, and he's been through a lot, but I probably trust him the most out of all of them.
He seems reliable. if they can help us to do what we need to do, then I am all for traveling with them.
I put the stuffed animal in his bag of holding.
It's something to try. I somehow doubt it will work, but
Maybe it'll just keep it away from us long enough for us to figure out a real solution.
she shrugs and then stands up and sort of heads towards the door. But when she gets to the door, she kind of pauses there, and she turns around and says, "It is nice to see you, Yuxori. Circumstances be as they may." And she leaves.
Nice to see you too.
You get the sense that she sort of just wanted to critique your friends a little bit before bed and then go off on her own.
I light some sage before I go to sleep.
Yeah, you can smell a similar smell coming down the hall from the room that she's in. The morning finds the group of you. Thaddeus, Zant, Mara, all of you roll out of your respective beds. Valiance woke up pretty early and has been on the deck of the Drowning Kiss, just sort of inspecting the clockwork oars, and she seems very fascinated by them, but she's very quiet. She doesn't ask any questions about it or anything. She just is interested in them. Harmony, when you roll, you sort of toss and turn, and finally the sunlight is beginning to wake you. You open your eyes, and in front of you on the pillow, the stuffed unicorn with its stuffing pouring out in front of you, and its face, bedraggled and ruined as it is just looking you directly in the
I
eyes.
scream very loud.
And I rush to the door
I fall out of bed.
and open it. What's wrong, Harmony?
I I think when
And
you
I'll-
come in, there's burn marks on the walls from the fire bolts that I've thrown at it. As I scramble out of bed.
Valiance comes in with Hunter. Basically, they burst down the door together.
Yeah.
And she sees you throwing firebolts, and she says, "Stop, Harmony! It won't work."
I know, but it makes me feel better.
And then I'll pull the bag I'm holding out and ask and say stuffed unicorn.
Nothing.
It didn't work. Obviously. Okay.
Well,
I wasn't sure if it multiplied or.
well, Mother, I think that we've at least solved your problem.
Oh, and how's that?
It looks like it's gonna be following me now.
She kind of, you can see that thought hadn't occurred to her. There's a brief moment of surprise there. I suppose that's a good point.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
And she teleports away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's well, your problem solved. I don't know why, but this Mother Midnight has always had a fascination with me.
Oh, that's something you left out before.
Did I also forget to mention that this was made by her?
And she, I guess, hadn't been wanting. You can see that she wanted to ask about it, but had been holding it back because she's very eager with this question, and she says, "And what is that?"
Should I leave you two?
You can stay.
It's it's an amulet, obviously, that has kind of magic, and it kind of syncs with my chaos.
I felt it when I walked into the tavern.
Yeah, I suppose you probably would understand better than anyone.
Yeah, it's just like a little bit of a draw, a pull, or
Yeah.
a resonation.
Yeah,
I
it was
suppose.
kind of going crazy when we first found it, and then I kind of spent some time with it, and I kind of
Suppressed it
I
for a time.
got in tune with it, and
I know the process you're talking about.
yeah, and it's very powerful, and it's been very helpful on our journey.
And surprising.
And if I take it off, it can do a lot of damage. So I just kind of keep it on. But it was created by her, by that hag.
Well, that's deeply confusing, considering
I know.
how helpful it sounds like it's been to you.
Yeah.
I think the intention wasn't to have her use it under her control, though. It seemed like when we first met Mother Midnight that she was using it maybe to possess or do some other weird hag magic with Harmony.
I don't know.
It was strange.
Some experiment, maybe.
Yeah, it was something.
Maybe it's not so much me as it is the chaotic magic that.
I see. Well,
But
beside
anyway,
the point
she's-
entirely.
She's
anyways.
kind of obsessed with me, and so I'm not really surprised that this thing found you because of your very well controlled chaos magic, and it maybe, I don't know.
I understand. I do think I have a better understanding of the picture now, having heard the full story.
Look, it was a long story. I was bound to leave some details out, alright?
She just kind of shakes her head. I need to think. I'm going to go think. And she walks away.
Okay. Breakfast?
Sure.
I
I was
kicked the
gonna
unicorn.
say, I was gonna walk into your room to tell you guys that breakfast was ready and then notice the scorch marks on the wall.
Prestidigitation.
Mara,
Sorry,
oh, you're not playing with D&D Beyond. Never mind. If you were on D&D Beyond, you could go to the extras tab where you have the Drowning Kisses stats, and you could take away hit
Oh.
points.
Oh.
For scorch marks?
No, probably it's fine.
But
I cleaned
I
it up.
can, if you want to, use control whether to get to Ferndale sooner. Would you like?
That would be
or
great.
that- Okay,
The sooner
so
the
after
better.
breakfast.
At the distance you're at now, it will probably be another day or two before you reach Ferndale, even with control weather pushing at the sails and the clockwork oars rowing 24/7.
I could just teleport us all there if you're in a hurry.
We left Johnnycus once, and some strange things happened to it. I'm
That's
sure.
true.
I'm
Some
sure
slimy things
Mara would
happened
rather
to it.
not leave it behind again.
Yeah, I wish, we've got to make it like the tower, shrinkable so we can bring it with us. That would be nice.
Is that
Shrink
something
the
that-
Drowning Kiss.
that
You
you
know,
could do?
like the
Yeah,
tower that we
That's
have?
that's an interesting thought.
So we can put it in the bag of holding and bring it with us.
Who's got that tower? Whatever happened to
I
that?
have it.
Harmony
Still
has it.
live?
Yeah, I could probably do it. It would probably take a really long time.
Like 5 years.
Start working on it. Start working on it, Harmony. That sounds great. I could wear it around my neck.
Oh.
That would be really cool.
Right?
More on
Right?
this maybe later. Those days pass, and your mother kind of sulks and stays apart from everyone for the most of that.
And eventually meets Bianco.
Yep.
Oh my god!
She actually gets along rather well with Bianco because Bianco just kind of silently is there, and she's okay with that.
Yeah.
Eventually, the boat comes to the port town, whatever port town you would take it to that is closest to Ferndale. I assume not West Shore, because the East Freight and Mercantile Corporation still has a very strong presence there.
Oh yeah, that place.
Oh yeah.
And you're not on the best of terms with with both of the owners, actually.
That's true.
Is that
Hey,
where
does it still have two
Mercer
owners?
and
It has one owner.
That's
now.
the
Okay.
the two.
Well, I
cat
mean, it
devils
could have
or
two
whatever?
owners
yeah,
again
yeah,
someday.
what are they
It has one
called?
owner though.
No.
No.
Those are
Mercer,
goblins.
Mercer and Melissa Nightclaw.
Nightclaw.
Yeah.
That's right. The Nightclaws.
That's where
Yep.
they were.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of it. Tabaxi? No, not Tabaxi. It's
Not Tabaxi.
Rakshasa.
Rakshasa,
Rakshasa.
that's it.
Tabaxi is the race. That's right.
Yeah,
Melissa's the only one left.
because we killed Mercer.
But
We did kill Mercer.
did we kill
We
him?
didn't
No, we
kill
didn't kill
Okay.
Mercer, so he's probably back with a huge grudge. Yeah, let's avoid West Shore.
Yeah. Let's look it up.
At the casino? Weren't we at
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But you put in at port.
Nice
and,
recap, everybody.
Yeah.
Good job,
That's a
everyone.
good recap.
A taxi car is waiting at the dock for you. The road system has been massively built out from the city of Freyden, and now the cars, which used to be able to only travel really within the city, can travel to some of the surrounding towns. A train system has also been built up between, so for example, Ravenmoor is now connected by train to the capital city of Ferndale.
Burton.
And so a car is waiting there for
Someday
you.
it'll go as far as we can.
at the dock, and you can see standing at the door, sort of with the doors, holding the doors open, in the black and white uniform of the servants of House Hammerlock, is a thin but sort of modestly beautiful, with black hair, now more gray than it was 5 years ago, Valerie Nightingale. Is standing there waiting with the car, ready to escort the group of you into the city.
It's weird. I know all about her and Gavin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Laura told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it took her.
That was really funny.
It really delayed. I'm laughing because I remember how long it took her to draw that connection.
What? That was so funny.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh shoot.
I know, because all of us were like, oh my god!
And then minutes
5
pass
minutes
by.
later, what?
That was so funny.
Good times.
That was one of my favorite episodes.
Great.
Yeah, I'll put my stuff.
Thanks for playing.
Up.
Yeah,
Does
okay.
it? Do these cars have trunks?
Yeah, small trunk.
Yeah, I'll put my stuff in the trunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get in.
Do the same.
I say to my mother, have you ever been on one of these things before?
No. What is this?
I think I would ask Maura, would you like to ride up front? Is there anything you'd like to talk to Valerie about?
I prefer to drive, actually. These things are quite fun.
Valerie looks at you and says, "You're not driving my car. Just please get in the back." Master Hammerlock, would you care to sit up front, or will you sit in the back with your friends?
I'll be with my friends.
And she opens that door for you.
We'll pile in, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bianco as well.
Bianco. You strap him to the top.
No, Bianco. Bianco can sit in the front of
It's
Valerie.
used for the sovereign glue.
Sure.
That'd be terrible.
Somehow the group of you all pile into this car, and it's a tight fit, but it goes trundling off down the road and makes its way to the city of Farendel, which you can see looming out over the surrounding farmland. Is this massive structure. It's of these like big metal walls that go upward in sort of a cylindrical fashion. And it looks like another layer might have been built on top. You can't really tell because for a lot of you it's been a long time since you've been here.
I would know though. Has there been another layer?
One is being built
Okay.
upwards.
So
but
there's
it hasn't been
5?
completed.
Right?
Let me pull out my note.
I think there used
There was
to be
4.
there was
The one was like-
the Undercity and
yeah.
then 3 on top.
Yeah. So I remember the 4th one was where all the goblin workshop and stuff was, the
Yeah.
Thimblefoot and all
The
those
gnomes.
things.
Mhm.
Or sorry, gnomes, thanks.
Yeah,
And
so
then the third one was
fourth
where we went for the Temple of the Sanahan and all the other places. And we
Mhm.
stayed on the second one, that's where I think CL's
Old
shop
shop
was.
was.
And the first one was the Undercity where we
Where
went
we
to
followed the rats.
follow the rats. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Uh,
then-
so the car trundles up the sort of like raised hill that goes up to the entrance of the main entrance of the city on the second level, and it makes its way in. And again, you find yourself in these familiar dark streets lit by street lamps. Dark because there is an entire layer of city built above, and the car winds its way to up a series of ramps and to the third level, I believe. Where is the Hammerlock abode?
I think it was the third level.
Yeah.
Nope, it's on the second level.
Oh, I think you're right. Because like all the palace stuff is on the second level, and then like the nicer places.
Well, the palace you would remember actually is on
It's in the
these-
center, right?
Yeah, it's
and
in the
it
very
goes
center,
up and down.
and
Oh,
it's
that's
on
right.
this platform that connected to these massive chains,
up
and the
and down.
palace can rise
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and down to any layer of the city. And when you get in, it looks like the palace is at the top layer for the moment. So the car makes its way down the streets and pulls out in front of the iron gates that are designed to form the crest of House Hammerlock. And beyond it, you can see there's a lot of sunlight here, or there's a lot of light here created to sort of mimic the effect of sunlight. You can see gardens that Thaddeus's mother, Muriel, has cultivated, leading up the pathway towards the sort of brick and, well, it's a mostly brick home. And there is a door there with a brass knocker on the front, which you would recognize to be the front entrance of your abode.
Okay. I'll knock on it.
Valerie opens the car door, lets you go up to the front. Nobody comes to the door at first,
Yeah.
but Valerie finally, after she's like settled things with the car, rushes up behind you and says, "I'm sorry, Master Thaddeus, no one is home to open the door. Allow me." And she just pushes the door open and sort of holds it open for the group of you.
And I'll grab like Thaddeus' pack out of the trunk and mine.
Daddy, if no one's home, what are we doing here?
Oh no, people are home. It's just there's no other servants around at the moment but me.
Where are the others?
Oh,
Shouldn't they be tending to my family?
I think that your mother wanted a bit more privacy than she normally gets, and she sent them away, except for, of course, someone had to stay around to tend to the basic needs, and that's me.
Well, if that's what Mother wants.
Anyways, if you all come in, take a seat in the seating room, and I will alert the rest of the family that you're home. And she gives you a low bow.
Thank you.
And the seating room you find yourselves in is the same seating room where the group of you had previously sat when you first came into House Hammerlock. You sit down on the couches that are so fancy they're uncomfortable. Around the coffee table that is beautiful glass and
Should I seeming us in the same disguise as we were in before?
I thought about asking you that,
I
but
think they've all seen you by now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no need.
I might be the only new face. Well, I guess
Well,
and your
but
mother.
you've been back and forth, right?
I mean, the three of you are like practically national heroes at this point.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I guess your mother would be the only one.
But I feel like on the way in, I'll lean over to Xanth and be like, should I cast seeming on us?
Yeah, and I'd like smile and be like, I don't know if it's necessary this time. But
No wild magic in the house, please, Harmony.
Valiance just sort of the rest of you kind of naturally settled into these couches, but Valiance hasn't, and it's only now that you just realize she's standing there as she coughs, as if hoping someone will give her a cue for what she should be doing.
I make very obvious eye movements to point to the couch, like.
Yeah, she kind of awkwardly
Oh.
shuffles in.
Thaddeus, then, excuse me, pardon, you're a guest in my house. You're free to use our citizen will.
Thank you.
If there's anything else you require, tell me and I'll have Valerie fetch it for you.
She's silent for a second, but then she says, "I am a bit thirsty."
I'll have drinks all around.
Sure.
And
Nice.
Valiance sort of awkwardly takes the seat between Harmony and Thaddeus, and at that point, Valerie returns to the entryway, and you can see behind her, just bursting with energy, despite the sad circumstances, is Astrid. Her red hair is kind of it's flowing down at her shoulders. She's wearing a beautiful black dress. It's fashionable despite the occasion. You know Astrid to be one who always strives to like keep up with the latest fashions and things like that.
I jump up and run over and hug her.
Yeah, she sees the group of you and she's just, you can see that she's kind of fighting the two emotions. She's really happy to see both of you, but she's also really sad. So she gives Harmony a big hug, but then she sort of pats you on the head and says, "Hold on just a minute, I need to hug my brother." And she runs over to Thaddeus and sort of
big
leaps
old
into
hug.
your arms and says, "Thaddy, I'm so glad you're home."
I came as fast as I could on the fastest ship in the world.
Well, I mean, no doubt that's true. You got here within, what, a few days of the cleric sending you the message? It was torture, Thaddeus. They wouldn't even send you a message for some days. We had to wait, just hoping that you would return, because we didn't have your return date. And then finally, Gavin convinced them that they needed to send you a message, and well, here you are now.
How is Mother? How are things progressing?
Oh, Mother's, well, she's well in her own way. I mean, and she sort of glances around and for the first time sees Valiance and says, "Sorry, who's this?"
Oh, introductions. This is Valiance, Harmony's mother.
Oh, wild magic mother. Valiance.
Is that actually a title?
It's her title. Yes, it's her title.
Yeah,
this is
when
Valiance.
you say that, Valiance just gives like a slow nod.
The wild magic mother to Harmony.
Not just to me.
Madam Valiance, this is my sister Astrid.
Valiance gives sort of like a curt nod to Astrid. It just says, "Pleased to meet you." And Astrid says back to her, "You're Harmony's mother. That's just absolutely wonderful. I adore your daughter." And you could like hear Valiance rolling her eyes.
Valerie.
Yes,
The lady would like a drink, please.
of course. Iced tea, water, what would you prefer? And Valiance just says water. And Valerie sort of gives a little curtsy and then is out the door, off to get the iced tea. Or the water, rather. Astrid then sits down next to Thaddeus and says, "Right, as I was saying, my mother's been dealing with things in, well, her own mother way, you know, spending a lot of time in the gardens. She's been neglecting her sporting activities a little bit in favor of the gardens, but I think that's just her way of processing. You and I both know that there was no great love between them, but still, they've been together for a long time. It must be hard to lose someone like that." Well, how was your trip? Was it successful?
Oh yes, things went well in the Reaches. I think we're making good progress in relations between our nations.
That's good.
That was not
I
intended
must
to
say,
rhyme.
I
Sorry
wasn't
about
expecting
that.
to see. I wasn't expecting to see all of you back.
Well, there's been a bit of emergency. Something mildly urgent has come up, but not so urgent that we couldn't
Nothing that can't wait.
take a few days off to properly mourn our father.
Well, I'm afraid that the funeral itself is not scheduled for a week or so from now. But I mean, of course, I would love to have you stay that long if you're willing. I think the urgent business, though, Father's lawyer has been hanging around the house. Apparently, they need to settle the matter of who is going to take over the affairs of House Hammerlock, and all of the family needed to be present, so we couldn't do that until you were back. But now that you're here, I suppose we could take care of that.
Well, the sooner the better.
Well, I mean, would you be ready? How long do you need to prepare? As I said, she's been lurking around the house, just sort of awaiting your arrival, so we can take care of this any time. It's just a matter of, well, when you're ready. I know this is still sudden for you. Like I said, they wouldn't send a message for a little while, so we've had a little more time to process, but...
Why wouldn't they do that?
Oh, you know how the Church of Arathis is. They want to enforce their procedures and only their procedures, and they're just difficult.
Could you not have gone to a Sunrise church?
She kind of rolls her eyes and says, "Thaddeus, you know you're the only serious worshiper of your goddess, correct?
Not the only one.
You know what most of the clergy of that church is like here in the city,
That's
correct?"
true, I do.
And you suddenly have a flashback to all of the like super high elves.
Yeah.
Not high elves as in like
No,
status,
yeah.
but
No, but
Yeah, I
like
get it.
really high.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Besides, you know that the Church of Arathis has been imposing more and more control over all of the other churches within the city.
I know, it's something we'll have to work on when... That's actually a nasty thought. If I assume control of the family, I'll have to stay here, won't I?
Well, I don't know. I suppose that depends. We can talk to the lawyer in the meeting, I believe. The time has finally come, I think, Thaddeus, for you to make good on your agreement. The
I
one you
remember.
made all those years ago.
I remember it.
I'm not suited to run the family, and also, besides that, I couldn't. As you know, I've been living elsewhere. And Thaddeus would know this. Maybe some of you who haven't seen Astrid quite as frequently might not know this, but Astrid actually was married about a year or so back. And so she has been living with her husband. Where's the whose name is Aiden Stonewell. And so she is now actually Astrid Stonewell instead of Astrid Hemlock. But she is obviously back in the city now, at least for the time.
So I think I'll turn to the others and say it sounds like this may take us a few more days than I thought.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we're here in Farandale. We can amuse ourselves.
Well, we're here for you, so take all the time you need.
That's true, but I mean, like with the lawyer stuff.
After the funeral, I think we can go. I really ought to be there.
I mean, I don't even know where we'd go, but you focus on your stuff, and I'll try to figure out
Thaddeus, while
next
you're
steps.
if you're going to be busy, do you want to describe your dream a little bit for me, and I can run and do some errands.
That would be great.
And then I would maybe
What
take
dream?
and
I think I've already described it.
yeah.
to you a
So
few
then
times.
maybe
Yeah.
just fill in the blanks on
Yeah.
whatever details I might need to do some research while he's busy.
Yeah, and I'll
So-
describe. I think I've told you about the moon and the darkness before.
And the
that-
sword,
That's and like
specifically.
well, yeah, but I've told you about the moon and the darkness, and that's like the best I could do. It's like
Yeah.
it's a full moon and there's darkness all over the place.
Yeah.
But I like try and go into as much detail about the sword that I
Right.
may have not have told you before.
The main detail about the sword that stands out, besides like the sort of moonlight glow that it gives off
Mhm.
and the beautiful silver color to it, is that the pommel of it, sort of that bit at the very end of the hilt, is shaped like a waxing gibbous. Yes, that's
Yeah.
your. It is shaped like a waxing gibbous moon.
Okay.
I hate to say this, but you may actually want to talk to the priestesses of the Samahan.
Sure. Whatever makes the most sense.
I'm
That
not
was
sure
fun.
that anything they say will make sense, but
Well, I mean, for us, at least a place to start.
okay.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Want some company?
Yeah. We can all go on this errand together and leave Thaddeus some space so he can take care of his family business.
Will you be visiting Ciel's shop in time?
I
Ooh,
was
that's a
gonna
good
ask
idea.
if their shop was back up and running here in
Not to your knowledge, but you haven't been in super good contact with CL lately, I don't think.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can stop by. I don't know if they're back, but
Yeah.
wouldn't hurt to stop by. I'd like to, and I also want to kind of do some more research on this kind of unicorn thing.
Alright, so are the group of you going off to do stuff in the city while Thaddeus stays here to take care of family business?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Okay. The three of you sort of depart, and
Four?
What's Valiance doing?
Four of us?
four of you, yes. Valiance will go with you. She's
Okay.
very uncomfortable here on her
Yeah.
Okay.
own. The four of you depart, and
Oh. Sorry, I was gonna do one thing. Is it possible to use speak with plants in Muriel's garden? And then
We destroyed one at one point.
we did.
We did for a distraction.
So
But I remember Thaddy spoke with the plants.
I wanted
Yeah.
I wanted to do
the blessing.
two
Yeah.
things. First thing is I wanted to get an idea, and I remember when we did plants, they like share emotions.
Mhm.
I wanted to see if they receive any emotions of unfamiliarity, of presence, like somebody who's not, other than the lawyer, or maybe multiple presences.
Yeah, when you cast the spell and begin to speak to sort of the plants at the entranceway to the manor, they all convey to you a sense of familiarity with most of the people who pass in and out, but there's this lingering sense of, well, we don't recognize everyone who comes through here, but there's no suspicion or anything.
Yeah, they're not like, okay. Because I'm sure they have a very strong bond with Muriel. And so, like, I guess looking out for her if there was something else going on or somebody visiting that's not familiar. Like, the other thing I wanted to do, if I didn't get, or once I'm done with that information, is I wanted to see if they could, like, flourish a little bit more to help Muriel out.
Oh, roll a persuasion check.
Sure, I'm not very good at this, but I will try. They're also not my favorite enemy. That's a persuasion. Let's see. That's an 8.
An 8?
I mean, I have +0, so.
And they don't die.
You spend a while talking to the plants and just sort of trying to coax them to flourish a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you think that maybe one of them, like,
Try
puffs
it.
up its leaves a little more,
Okay.
but nothing
Not much. All right. Well, I tried. So
The little plant that could.
yeah. Okay. But that was the only thing I wanted to do before we left. So
Okay. So Thaddeus, you are left with Astrid, who urges you to sort of just get dressed however you would like to be dressed for meeting with the lawyer, and she goes off to find the lawyer, and Muriel as well, to sort of get this meeting over and done with. So once everyone is all ready, as you're sort of waiting and lingering, your mother does come in. Astrid seems to have found her and brought her back. And you can see that she's still as physically strong as she used to be, but her hair is definitely grayed a bit more, and she looks tired. And when she sees you, she comes in and just gives you a big hug and says, "Thaddeus, I'm glad you're home."
I came as soon as I heard, and from what I heard, from what they tell me, I didn't hear as soon as I should have.
No, you didn't, and I must say thank goodness for Gavin, because no one could get through to them until he stepped in and started leading the communication. Where is he? I suspect he needs to be joining us, but have you seen him?
Not yet.
Well, I'm sure he'll come. How are you doing?
Well, my work is going well. Things are well with Dawn.
I meant about father, about Lucavis.
Oh. I rarely thought of him, Mother.
I know you and he had a difficult relationship, and he and I did as well, but it's still a big thing when someone in your life for that many years is gone. At least for me, anyways.
I suppose. I'm here for you, though. You and Astrid and Gavin.
And she gives you a tight shoulder squeeze and says, "I know, and it makes it so much better." And at that point, striding in, talking with a short, gnomish woman who has this sort of like mousy face with big wiry spectacles and like blonde hair tied up in a very tight bun at the top. Striding in with this gnomish woman in his elaborate and a very, very fancy and well-to-do suit, his black rimmed spectacles on his face, his hair slicked back as it always was, just as your father Lucavis's was.
As Thaddeus actually also is now. His hair is
Oh,
is shorter these days, and he's kind of wearing it more slicked back. Now that he's spending more time among people.
Oh, she'd said that, I would have commented on it.
Yeah.
Still
But
time
it was only ever long and unruly because he spent a lot of time in the wilderness doing paladin stuff.
Makes sense. Gavin is also sporting a mustache at this point. it's
How
sort of
much
curled.
how much of a mustache is this?
It's a decent mustache.
Okay. All right. Good. Good for him.
And it looks pretty good on him for being what it is. He strides in, laughing and talking with this gnomish woman, and then his eyes fall on Thaddeus, and sort of the smile goes from his eyes for just a brief second before he picks it back up and meets gaze with the gnomish woman again and continues the conversation, and sort of leads her into Lucavis's study, and says, "Well, family, I've brought the lawyer. I suppose we should get started."
All right.
And so all of the hammerlocks pile into Lucavis's study. The gnomish woman has sat in Lucavis's chair behind the desk and opened up a folder that is full of papers and is sort of setting them out and trying to get them in order. And finally, after a few minutes, when all of you have sort of settled into the room, into your various seats, I presume Thaddeus kind of taking a seat by Muriel and Astrid, and Gavin sort of taking a seat a little bit farther away from the rest of you, and Valerie standing at the door behind. The gnomish woman finally speaks up and says, "Right, well, Mr. Thaddeus Hammerlock, we've not met before, but my name is Dallas, and I'll be I've been presiding over your father Lucavis's affairs for some time. He set a procedure in order for his death some years ago, and I am now responsible for carrying that out. So pleased to make your acquaintance, and the rest of you I know well. So I suppose if there's no questions, we might as well get this thing started.
Suits me.
Okay. And Gavin kind of gives a nod, like, okay, we're okay to go ahead. And she goes on. Right, well, the wealth of House Hammerlock is, as ever, to be shared between the family. So no rights to that are transferring. The estate here itself within the city will belong to whoever it is who takes over the Duke's duties within the political structure of this fine kingdom. And the country house out in the former Hammerlock barony will be bequeathed to one of you per the terms of this will. So I suppose I will just start at the top and begin going down. And she turns to Muriel and says, Muriel, per the terms of Lucavis's and your agreement, in the event of his death, you are to take control of the countryside estate in the Hammerlock baronry, or the former Hammerlock baronry.
I guess it's a duchy now.
Yeah. Dukedom is what I'm calling it.
Okay.
Yep. In the Hammerlock Dukedom, with all of its gardens, vineyards, and properties thereof. To Muriel also goes the first right of control of the dukedom itself. And she sort of looks at Muriel expectantly, and Muriel, after a moment's pause, says, no, I never wanted to be involved in the affairs of the country to that extent. I think that it is time for a younger person to step into those shoes. I will decline my right. And the gnomish woman sort of nods, takes it in, and says, right, well then, moving along. To Astrid and Aiden Stonewell go the second right to control of the dukedom. And Astrid kind of...
Is Aiden here?
He's not here.
Okay.
No. You would have met him before, though, so I can tell you a little bit about him.
That's not necessary right now.
I'll tell you later. Astrid shoots Thaddeus a very meaningful look, like, this is okay, right? And
Thaddeus nods.
so she takes a deep breath and says, no, I will be declining my right to take over the duties as Duke Hammerlock. And she just sort of gives a solemn nod after she finishes saying that. And the gnomish woman sort of nods and says, right, well, someone's got to take it. Third right of control to the dukedom, per an addendum made in the will 3 years ago, goes to Gavin Hammerlock. And she then looks up to Gavin, who nods and says, yes, I will take on the responsibility. And that's where we'll end tonight's session.
All right.
Okay.
Did you know about that?
No, I did not.
Oh, fuck.
So, thank you to anyone who tuned in to watch. We will be back with another YouTube premiere on next Monday.
Whenever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, our schedule is weird now because we're not on Twitch live. So, anyways, Monday the 2nd is when the next video will come out. Guys, I'm happy to be back.
Me too.
Yes.
Thank you
Great.
for bearing with me as I get my chops back.
Oh, we all
I feel
were,
like I'm
though.
floundering
Yeah.
a bit, but
We all were.
we have some cool stuff to do. So,
It's exciting.
anyways, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you guys for playing. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 Like,